This video includes a paid sponsorship from Ridge, but more on that later. The wait is almost over, and it appears like Tesla is really close to releasing the rumored refreshed Model 3. Let's discuss the signs that indicate that we are actually getting close to Tesla releasing this new refreshed Model 3, and also talk about how Tesla will do this without totally stopping Model 3 production during the switchover, and some of the manufacturing improvements that I expect to see with this new version. I'm John, and this is Cleanerwatt. Unlike legacy automakers, Tesla doesn't wait until a new model year to make changes to their vehicles, but instead they are constantly making running changes, tweaks, and improvements to their vehicles throughout the year. However, as Tesla's vehicles get older, substantial refreshes are apparently becoming necessary, not only to keep the design fresh and demand high, but to improve the manufacturing efficiency of that design as Tesla improves their manufacturing processes over the years. Now, you've probably seen various rumors floating around the Tesla community about the new Model 3 refresh project that's codenamed Project Highland. And thanks to various sources, including @TeslaScope on Twitter, we have a good idea of some of the changes that we can expect. For instance, there should be various hardware changes, like a switch to Tesla's new hardware for FSD computer, if not immediately, at some point in the future with this refresh. We expect an exterior update. Both the front and the rear of the vehicle should be quite a bit different, since Tesla has been covering the front and the rear of the test vehicles that have been seen out in the wild. There also should be a number of interior changes, which will include further simplifications and possible removal of wood trim and an updated steering wheel, etc. And in addition to these expected changes, I also personally expect that Tesla is going to make the Model 3 less expensive and easier to manufacture. And I believe it's very possible that Tesla is moving to underbody castings for the Model 3 like they have with the Model Y. Thankfully, we shouldn't have to wait much longer for this new refreshed Model 3 to come out, and there are some obvious signs that point to this new Model 3 being available soon. But before I discuss them, I want to introduce the sponsor of today's video. This portion of today's video is sponsored by Ridge. Are you looking for some great Father's Day gift ideas, or just looking to upgrade your own wallet? Well, Ridge is making gifting easy with one of their biggest sales of the year for Father's Day. I really love the quality and style of the carbon fiber wallet and key case set that Ridge sent me. But if carbon fiber is not your thing, Ridge offers 30 plus colors and styles, so you can find one that fits your style. Their high quality wallets expand to hold up to 12 cards. And in addition to holding cards, it also has a place on the back where you can store cash as well. And when it comes to the key case, their key cases can hold between 1 and 6 keys securely, and it allows the keys to slide into the case and not jingle about in your pocket. Find a great Father's Day gift or upgrade your own wallet by using my link, which is ridge.com/cleanerwatt. And right now you can save up to 40% off through June 15th. Once again, go over to ridge.com/cleanerwatt or click the link in the video description. Thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Okay, one of the first signs that indicate to me that Tesla is getting pretty close to manufacturing and releasing the Model 3 refresh comes down to the fact that, according to a report from Teslarati.com, Tesla is demoing a production line at their Fremont factory. As the author of this article wrote here in this article, quote, Tesla applied to demolish multiple equipment, tools, and utilities lines at the Fremont factory on Thursday, and the timing aligns with the recent images of the Project Highland Model 3 that continue to leak. As this author pointed out, normally when Tesla makes running changes to their production lines, they don't need to demolish the entire line, but they just need to replace pieces of machinery or make basic improvements. But in this particular case, this seems to be a pretty substantial change to a production line, which, as this author throws out there, could possibly be related to the Highland project with the Model 3. If the author of this article is correct, and this is related to the Model 3 refresh, it shows just how substantial some of the changes may be to the newly refreshed Model 3. The changes may be a lot more than skin deep when it comes to the basic refresh of the front and the rear of the vehicle. There may be some major structural changes to the vehicle itself. The next piece of news that I personally believe is related to the Model 3 refresh is the fact that Tesla is now shipping Model 3 and Model Y vehicles from their China factory, their Shanghai China factory, to Canada. In the past, as you may already be aware, Tesla has been shipping cars from their Shanghai factory to the European market. But now there are reports that Tesla is importing these China-made vehicles into the Canadian market. While it may be completely unrelated to the Highland Model 3 refresh, I believe it's very possible that Tesla is using Gigafactory Shanghai to help fill in the gaps when it comes to production volume from Tesla's Fremont factory while they update that production line, or maybe more than one production line there. And that allows them to supply the Canadian market with the Shanghai-made Model 3, and they don't have to produce that vehicle at the Fremont factory, so it doesn't completely disrupt their supply for the North American market. Unlike the Tesla Model S and X, the Model 3 and Model Y are built at more than one factory. So this allows Tesla to stagger their improvement of production lines to avoid a situation like with the Model S and X refresh that led to both vehicles not being available for a period of time, since those vehicles are only built at their Fremont factory. Something else that indicates to me that we're getting close to Tesla releasing the newly refreshed Model 3 comes down to the fact that Tesla is currently discounting their in-inventory Model 3s. If you browse the existing Model 3s listed on Tesla's website, you can see that they're offering over $1,200 off these rear-wheel drive examples that I found in Los Angeles, or $250 off the performance variant. Note that this discount is not being offered for in-inventory Model Ys, and since Tesla is incentivizing the purchase of these inventory Model 3s, this makes me think that they want to sell off inventory to make way for when the new design is released. They don't want to be stuck with a bunch of the old design when the new one comes out. Now, I know a lot of people are very excited about this new Model 3 refresh, as am I. However, I do want to point out the fact that it's very possible that this refresh could happen in stages, and that the first stages of this refresh may not necessarily be with all the cosmetic changes that we expect. For instance, on Tesla's website here in the United States for the US market, it states that deliveries begin in June for the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3, and remember that this is a newer version of the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 that has a Tesla estimated reduced range of 325 plus miles instead of the previous EPA-rated 358-mile range version that Tesla previously offered. I did a full video on this in the past, theorizing some of the battery types that Tesla might be using in this vehicle, but with this range change, it means that there is a change to the battery pack, or at least the battery pack size. And now I believe that this new long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 may be the first vehicle to get some of these refresh updates. However, they're likely not going to be cosmetic at first. I believe it's very possible that with this refresh, the new Model 3 will include underbody castings instead of the stamped and welded underbodies that are currently being used in the Model 3 underbody, and maybe a few other unnoticeable hardware changes as well. I believe this could be a very clever way for Tesla to start updating the Model 3 with a staggered approach without completely shutting down the Fremont factory production as they update those production lines. For instance, once again, they could use the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 as the first vehicle to get some of these updates, and once again, non-cosmetic updates, so it wouldn't be really obviously different from the customer-facing end for these vehicles. Since the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 hasn't been available in the United States market for some time now, this has allowed them to build up a little bit of inventory for the performance and the rear-wheel drive Model 3s and kind of focus production there. And then while they build up inventory for the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 and sell off some of that Model 3 rear-wheel drive and performance inventory, that allows them then to switch to improving those other lines there and improving some of the structural components underneath of those vehicles. And then they can come through and make what I believe to be less substantial changes to the production lines and make the cosmetic changes. And I believe this could be a very clever way, once again, to stagger updates without completely shutting everything down. Now, interestingly enough, as I was developing this theory and coming to this conclusion, I had kind of thought this could be the case. And then I found this article discussing Project Highland and Gigafactory Shanghai, and it seems to support my theory about the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 and Project Highland. Tesla's factory in China, Gigafactory Shanghai, will also be building a newly refreshed Model 3 as well. And according to this Not a Tesla App article, if rumors are correct, it's very possible that production could start for the newly refreshed Model 3 at Gigafactory Shanghai as early as in June of this year. Now, when it comes to how this all relates to the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3, in this article it's written, quote, "One of our sources who has provided factual information in the past is not only confirming the June production plans, but also signifying that the Model 3 long-range model will be Project Highland." So just as Tesla builds the Model Y right now with a structural battery pack and a non-structural battery pack, it's very possible that Tesla will have a variant, the long-range all-wheel drive variant of the Model 3, and that'll be the beginning of Tesla moving over to a more efficient production process for that vehicle. And once again, I expect that vehicle to initially come out with underbody castings. And it may not look much different than the existing model, but it'll be Tesla's first change in the production processes as they stagger their approach in improving that vehicle. Now, when it comes to manufacturing efficiency, it only makes sense for Tesla to improve the production processes of the Model 3, because you have to remember that Tesla was a very different company back in 2017 when they released the Model 3, and they have greatly improved the efficiency of their manufacturing processes since then. The Model Y, which initially shared the same platform as the Model 3, is now much more efficient for Tesla to manufacture, much in part thanks to the front and rear underbody castings. As is demonstrated on this slide from Tesla's Q1 2022 investor update, the Model 3 front and rear underbody portions of the vehicle collectively include 171 pieces of metal that are connected together, whereas with the Austin-made Model Y, those same portions of the vehicle, the front and rear underbodies, are made up of instead 2 pieces of metal that are cast. As I and others have talked about quite a bit in the past, with a change to underbody castings, this allows for the body shop to be smaller and allows for a greater amount of vehicles to be built in a smaller space. This greatly simplifies the production processes of building a vehicle, and at volume, this should make the Model 3 not only easier to manufacture, but also less expensive for Tesla as well. Interestingly enough, back in a February 2021 Elon Musk interview by Sandy Munro that was published on the Munro Live YouTube channel, Elon Musk did have some things to say about the Model 3 getting underbody castings in the future. An article was published on teslarati.com about this, and in this article they quoted Elon Musk saying about the Model 3, quote, "At some point we probably will switch to a single piece casting, but I think we need to get the Texas factory and the Berlin factory going. We do have an issue. It is hard to change the wheels on the bus when it is going 80 miles per hour down the highway. So Model 3 was most of our volume. Model Y will exceed Model 3, but we just need an opportunity to redo the factory without blowing the cash flow of the company." Now, if my theory is correct, and this new long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 that's going to be available in the USA market, if it does indeed have underbody castings, why would that vehicle have less range than the previous version? Well, very possibly it has a battery pack that implements slightly less energy-dense LG Energy Solution 2170 batteries, which is a theory that I talked about in a past video on this topic. In addition, Tesla is still improving the overall efficiency of these underbody castings, as Elon Musk and Drew Baglino have discussed in past Tesla conference calls. So it's very possible that these underbody castings still aren't quite as efficient when it comes to weight savings as they will be in the future as compared to the existing underbody components. Taking a gradual approach to the Model 3 refresh, as I believe they will, and implementing non-cosmetic changes first could allow Tesla to redo their factories in stages and could help them avoid, quote, blowing the cash flow of the company, to use the words that Elon Musk did in that Sandy Munro interview. Tesla is already extremely profitable, especially when you compare them to other automakers making electric vehicles, and most other automakers cannot yet make a profit on EVs. If I'm right about this refresh involving underbody castings, this will set up Tesla in the future to be even more profitable and would give them the ability to further adjust prices if necessary to ensure a balance between supply and demand for the Model 3. Do let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And also, I want to say once again, thank you to Ridge for sponsoring this video. And also, I want to say a special thank you to all of those of you who support me through Patreon. Your support makes a big difference and really does help make these videos possible. If you'd like to find out more about the Patreon community that I've set up, I'll put a link in the video description. Thank you so much.